I really had no idea that this would become a business eventually. I just was a fan of the combination of honey and chili peppers on pizza and was excited to share it with my friends. Once bottles got out into the world and people started tasting it, I very quickly realized that I did have a viable business on my hands.
It's crazy to believe that we're talking about peanut butter, right? It's like one of those categories that no one really ever thinks about. I was making all these concoctions and I would put jars all over the kitchen, and my roommates would stop and would always be eating them all. So I literally wrote Justin's on all the jars, and that kind of became the origin of the whole company.
Olive oil is not fine wine. Olive oil is a principal ingredient, one of the top 3 ingredients you use in your life. It's olive oil, it's garlic, it's onions. There's no luxury onion brands. There's no luxury garlic brands. And there really shouldn't be luxury olive oil brands.
For decades, the roster of classic pizza toppings has remained the same. There's pepperoni, sausage and peppers, olives, anchovies, and for some people, pineapple. But in recent years, one topping has quickly made itself a mainstay at pizza shops across the country: hot honey.
Mike's Hot Honey is unique because of the kick that you get on the back of your palate. I really had no idea that this would become a business eventually. I just was a fan of the combination of honey and chili peppers on pizza and was excited to share it with my friends. Once bottles got out into the world and people started tasting it, I very quickly realized that I did have a viable business on my hands.
After being introduced to customers in 2010, Mike's Hot Honey quickly found an opening in the $2.5 billion US honey market. The product is currently sold in 30,000 retail and food service locations across the country, and the company is on track to bring in more than $40 million in 2023.
We think the key of building a brand that's going to stand the test of time is to build it around a strong core product, and we've done that. I think it's really rare for a business of this size to just sell one thing.
Even in college, Mike aspired to work in the condiment industry.
I had a chance run-in with Larry Raymond from Sweet Baby Ray's, and it really inspired me, and I thought it'd be great to be a condiment man. And I thought, you know what, this might be the life for me.
While studying Portuguese in Brazil in the fall of 2003, inspiration struck.
I was hiking with some friends, and on the last day of our hike, we descended into a little valley and found a pizzeria there, and there were jars of honey with chili peppers on the tables for drizzling on the pizza. The first time I tasted the combination of honey and chili peppers on pizza, it blew my mind. I just couldn't shake the memory of it and kept on thinking about it. It was something that I realized I wanted to try to make for myself and maybe share with friends and family.
Over the next 6 years, just for fun, Mike tested new ways of infusing the 3 ingredients: honey, chili peppers, and vinegar. He jarred hot honey at home and gifted it to his friends and family. He moved to New York and started a job in the music business, but in his spare time, he worked to perfect the hot honey recipe.
Dialing in the flavor profile of the product was a long process. It required a lot of chili pepper consumption, which was quite painful at times. I used to go to the Bronx Terminal Market and taste different varietals of chili pepper, and I'd bring a carton of whole milk with me to sip on in between tastes, which was a recipe for a stomachache.
Then, in early 2010, while browsing the pizza blog Slice, Mike noticed a handle that kept popping up: Paulie Gee.
So I was thinking to myself, who is this Paulie Gee guy? And eventually Slice blog profiled Paulie, and they said that he was going to be opening his own pizzeria in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. So when he first opened the pizzeria, I went there to try it and met him. I started peppering him with questions about his process for making dough and how the oven worked. And by the end of the conversation, he could tell that I was really into making pizza, and he asked if I would be interested in coming in as a pizza apprentice.
Early on in his apprenticeship, Mike brought Paulie the honey he had been working on for years.
and brought it in for Paulie to try. He tasted it. He started drizzling it on a hot sopressata pizza, which we later called the Hellboy, and asked me if I could make it for the restaurant to drizzle on the pizzas.
Soon, customers were asking to purchase bottles of Mike's Hot Honey.
At this time, I was making Mike's Hot Honey in small batches, 1 gallon at a time, in the back of the pizzeria. I was using the restaurant for production on Mondays when they were closed. So I'd go there on Monday and spend a full day in the kitchen just making batches of Mike's Hot Honey and bottling. I started selling bottles off the bar in November of 2010, and shortly thereafter I was lucky to have some press. It was something that people really loved to drizzle on their pizza, but they also loved to share it with their friends. So I just wanted to get the product out into the world, and I was selling it at virtually no margin. So I was selling it for $6 a bottle. Very quickly, I raised the price, realizing that was not sustainable at all. Pretty soon, I had orders coming in from other restaurants, from specialty retailers around the city and beyond.
As his business grew, Mike began driving around New York City delivering bottles of honey out of his car. Then, in 2014, a buyer from Whole Foods said that they wanted to bring Mike's product into their store.
At that time, there had been very little innovation in the honey aisle. It had been pretty much the same for 50 years. We brought something new to the honey aisle, which hadn't seen anything exciting in quite a long time.
In late 2014, Mike reconnected with his college friend Matt Beaton, who had just moved to the East Coast.
Mike had something really special with his hot honey. And so I reached out to him and told him if he ever needed help as a friend, I'd be happy to help him write a business plan, set up QuickBooks, all those things you do in the early years of a company. So I think we both just realized that we would have a lot of fun if we gave this a go.
His skill set really complemented mine, and I thought he was a great fit to help me build the business.
Matt became the company's CEO, and the pair quickly realized that they needed outside investment to scale their business.
It was in 2017 when we started to get some interest from some big customers that required us to carry a bit more inventory to be able to service them on time and in full. And to have that inventory, we needed capital. And so it was about that time that we started looking for investors. And most good things don't come easily, and raising money is not for the faint of heart. We heard no hundreds of times, which can be discouraging because you know you have something really special.
Eventually, those no's turned into yeses. Since 2017, Matt and Mike have been able to raise around $12 million through 3 rounds of funding. Mike's Hot Honey not only expanded with financial partners, but also with brand collaborations.
We recently launched a potato chip with Utz, a mustard with the French Dijon company, and frozen pizza with California Pizza Kitchen.
For brand awareness, the company has provided neon signs of its logo for restaurant partners to hang in store. Mike and Matt carefully select which restaurants and shops they choose to supply signs with. Partial to tastemakers, they want the customers to see the neon signs as badges that the stores wear with pride.
We realized that our food service customers made up the biggest drivers of brand awareness for the brand. They see the brand in the restaurant from that signage and then remember us on shelf at retail when they're walking through the honey aisle. It's a marker of quality. This is very similar to the same strategy that lots of beer brands use in bars. There are roughly 50 neon signs scattered around the country at key restaurant partners, and we've got quite a long wait list of people who are waiting to have a sign installed at their shop.
As sales have grown, so has the size of the Mike's Hot Honey team.
Once we were able to secure capital, we were able to start to build a team around us. Our sales team has done a terrific job to make Mike's Hot Honey broadly available across the country. Across retail, across restaurants, you can find us in approximately 30,000 locations. On Amazon, Mike's Hot Honey is the #1 selling hot sauce at any given time. On our product, there's less than 1% household penetration right now, so we have a lot of consumers in this country that we still need to reach.
The company sells Mike's Hot Honey in squeeze packs and dip cups, 1.5-ounce mini jars, 12-ounce squeeze bottles, 24-ounce chef's bottles, and 1-gallon jugs. In July of 2020, 10 years after Mike started selling his hot honey, the company released another product, an extra hot version of the hot honey.
There's a lot of temptation to grow brands through flavor innovation and new flavor profiles, but what we realized is that Mike's Hot Honey was a very novel product that many people had never tasted, and we realized that there was a lot of room for growth just on that core product. So instead of extending into other flavor profiles, we grew the brand by price and pack innovation. And we made it available in as many different pack sizes for as many different usage occasions as possible.
That doesn't mean, though, that in the future there won't be other things under our brand halo that come to market. But for now, our focus continues to be on that core product because we know the ceiling is still really high.
We created a category. It's used on everything from pizza to fried chicken to cocktails to charcuterie and cheese boards to salads, barbecue. You can brush your teeth with it. There's virtually nothing that it can't go on.
Let's say you wanted to reinvent an everyday item you buy at the grocery store. For example, peanut butter. How would you make your product stand out? Would you change the label? Offer a bunch of eclectic flavors? Maybe you just repackage it in a way that people had never seen before.
It's crazy to believe that we're talking about peanut butter, right? It's like one of those categories that no one really ever thinks about.
Justin Gold is the founder of, you guessed it, Justin's, an organic nut butter company whose products can be found in grocery stores all over the country. Over 12 years, Justin went from grinding peanuts in his kitchen to inking a multi-million-dollar sale of his company. But it didn't happen without hard work and a lot of luck.
Every day I had to show up and do the work. The dream is one thing, and then the reality of all the steps it takes to achieve that dream is overwhelming.
In 2004, Justin was living in Boulder, Colorado. As an avid biker and vegetarian, he needed to find alternate sources of protein. One of those sources was nut butter.
20 years ago, there were two types of peanut butter, smooth and crunchy. There was one almond butter brand, it didn't taste very good, but when you ate a handful of almonds, it tasted amazing.
Unsatisfied with the grocery store selection, Justin opted for a different route.
Curiosity got me thinking, well, if you can grind your own peanuts and make peanut butter, how hard can it be to make your own?
Using his food processor, Justin began grinding his own nuts and experimenting with flavors. He used ingredients like cinnamon, bananas, even sriracha. The problem was, he had hungry roommates.
And I was making all these concoctions, and I would put jars all over the kitchen. And my roommates would stop and would always be eating them all. So I literally wrote Justin's on all the jars. And that kind of became the origin of the whole company.
His nut butter's good reviews, at least from his roommates, made Justin think about where he could go from there.
The idea popped in my head, this could be a great business. But how do you start a business, right? I don't have a business degree. And so then I asked myself, well, I wonder if there are any natural food companies here in Boulder where I could gain some insights. And that's when someone turned the lights on in the room, basically.
It turned out that Justin had plenty of resources for guidance. Boulder is home to many organic and natural food and beverage companies, like tea company Celestial Seasonings, Horizon Dairy, and Rudy's Organic Bakery.
There's a lot of camaraderie, there's a lot of high energy, there's a lot of creative thinking, and a lot of entrepreneurship.
Boulder also has a thriving farmers market, which became the perfect testing ground for Justin's product. He sold peanut and almond butter, not just in their classic flavors, but also with cinnamon, cayenne pepper, chocolate, and honey.
You get instant feedback on what products are working and what products aren't. Based on variety, based on flavor, based on price. The reality of being at the farmer's market and seeing all these other brands that are also trying to get their products elevated to that category in that space was really overwhelming.
Justin eventually started selling his peanut butter in local stores, including Boulder's Whole Foods.
I literally would make it myself. I would deliver it to the back of the door, and then I'd stick around and I'd do a demo and I'd hand out samples, and I'd give samples to the cashiers and people working the front end and the back, and really built this kind of community at each store I visited. And it was that community that I have a lot of gratitude towards for helping also build the brand.
Still, the amount that Justin was selling in stores wasn't enough to offset the cost of production. and he was still waiting tables and working in retail to make ends meet. It wasn't until he started thinking outside of the jar that Justin's really took off.
So I'm on a mountain bike ride and I'm eating an energy gel, and I was curious why you couldn't put peanut butter or almond butter in that same type of squeeze pack and have an on-the-go plant-based protein experience like an energy bar.
Justin was able to find an old machine that made squeeze packs. He borrowed $75,000 from one of his roommate's parents to purchase it. In 2006, Justin began distributing his new product.
We launched the first commercial nut butter squeeze pack, which really differentiated us in the category and led to other innovations which continued to grow the brand.
Justin began getting orders for squeeze packs from chains like Whole Foods and Wegmans, and eventually larger retailers like Target. In 2011, the company expanded its product line, introducing its own chocolate nut butter cups. In 2015, the company that Justin started in his kitchen was bringing in over $50 million a year in revenue. It was around that time that Justin's got an offer of sale from food giant Hormel.
The answer at first was no. We weren't ready. 6 months, maybe another year went by, and they asked again. And at that point, I was like, well, let's have a conversation. Let's talk.
Justin told Hormel that he would be willing to sell on one condition.
The business has to stay in Boulder. It's the people that make businesses extraordinary, so no one can lose their job. What blew my mind was really encouraging was they're like, that's why we love it. And so to me, it wasn't, Justin's was being sold, is that they were buying in to what we were doing here in Boulder, in this organization.
In 2016, Justin's was acquired by Hormel for $281 million.
There was something here that they found special. They reached out to us and said, we have to have this. You never want to build something that you want to sell. You want to build something that somebody wants to buy.
Justin eventually left his namesake company in 2021. He says that ultimately, his success comes down to being in the right place at the right time.
The one thing that a lot of people, I think, misunderstand is how lucky I was, right? And so, yes, I put in a lot of work, and yes, I asked a lot of questions and had a lot of coffee and bike rides with people, but there was a small window of opportunity, and I was able to disrupt a category that was kind of sleepy at the time. And because this community was here and so supportive, I was able to move fast. And I just feel a lot of gratitude for that.
Olive oil is not fine wine. Olive oil is a principal ingredient, one of the top 3 ingredients you use in your life. It's olive oil, it's garlic, it's onions. There's no luxury onion brands. There's no luxury garlic brands. And there really shouldn't be luxury olive oil brands.
Meet Andrew Bennon, co-founder and CEO of Graza, an olive oil startup company. Rather than use the standard glass bottle and vintage label aesthetic, its oil is packaged in a green plastic squeeze bottle with some friendly cartoons on the label. But despite its product's quirky appearance, Graza has garnered rave reviews from consumers and food critics alike.
We believe that olive oil should have a punch, a kick, and kind of a slap in the face effect, and better taste damn good.
After graduating with a business degree from Binghamton University in 2013, Andrew worked for a variety of successful direct-to-consumer companies like Warby Parker and Casper, but he had trouble finding his niche. It wasn't until a trip to visit his wife's parents that inspiration struck.
My wife is from Spain. We were spending time with her family, and I had a sensory explosion when I tried a specific olive oil. After that moment, it was honestly pure obsession.
Andrew found that olive oil in Spain had a bolder, bigger flavor than what he was buying off the shelves in the US.
The quality of the oil there was better. It didn't have a chance to be cut with anything else. It didn't have a chance to be blended with anything else. It didn't have a chance to be bulk stored for 2 years and then sold and traded as a commodity. It was just fresh from the source.
Andrew went on an olive oil tasting tour of Spain, eventually bringing several bottles back to New York. He took them to Chef Michael Anthony, at whose Michelin-starred restaurant, Gramercy Tavern, Andrew had once worked.
When you're trying these oils in a Michelin-star restaurant, a certain ethos and ego starts to build up where you're like, oh, this is the top-notch stuff, and a luxury brand is almost started. And Mike was able to temper those expectations and say, this stuff is great, this oil is amazing, Now your job is to make it available for as many people as you can.
With that thought in mind, Andrew set about building what would become Graza, named after the Spanish village Grazalema, the first stop on his olive oil tour. He partnered up with an acquaintance, Alan Ducey, who became his co-founder and COO. All they needed now was a product. More specifically, they needed an olive.
We worked with pizzaiolo, a specific varietal that is mostly found in Spain. We wanted that flavor, we wanted that bite, and we wanted the oxidative stability, which is important if you're going to export olive oil.
Working with one specific olive didn't make things easy or less expensive.
In a commodity market, your path of least resistance is sourcing the commodity. Our goal was to do something completely different, which was we want a specific type of olive oil. And we only want this one type of olive for very specific reasons. Reason number one was we liked how it tasted.
Andrew says he had the squeeze bottle idea in a place where many great ideas are born, the shower.
The moment was showering, a true shower idea with a Dr. Bronner's bottle. There, this Castile soap in this kind of 900 milliliter behemoth of a bottle that takes forever to wash off because it's so soapy. And probably that extra moment was enough to be like, that's it. This is the form factor.
Graza developed two basic olive oil products.
Drizzle is a finishing oil. Use it as a salad dressing. Use it raw, we like to say. Sizzle is our other product, and you guessed it, sizzles for sizzling. You can think of it, it's less concentrated.
But before he could start selling his bottles, he needed to sell investors on the product.
And we got a lot of no's before we got any yeses, and usually one of those reasons was, this is an oversaturated marketplace.
Andrew raised $230,000 in pre-launch capital over a year. Meanwhile, the Graza team sent bottles of olive oil to online influencers, hoping they would post about the product.
Our strategy, if you want to call it that, at the beginning was get our product out into the world. Get other people using it. No one's going to listen to us. We have no credibility. We're in 0 retail stores. So we use the power of Instagram and TikTok.
Graza's website went live in January 2022.
Launch day was incredible. I think we did $100,000 in our first day. I mean, we were sold out right away. We had raised enough money for what was 6 months of operating with this amount of inventory, and it was all gone. Whole Foods reached out on day 2 in our industry, getting into Whole Foods, and then displaying success at Whole Foods is the beginning of the snowball effect. It's kind of if you can do it there, you can maybe do it anywhere.
Since that day, Graza's sales have skyrocketed, from $4.4 million in 2022 to $19.7 million in 2023. The business is projecting $48.4 million in sales by the end of 2024. Graza is currently sold in more than 13,000 grocery stores across the country. Scheduled expansions in 2024 could bring that number up to 18,500. Andrew puts much of Graza's initial success down to good reviews.
I mean, we had Bon Appetit covering the business, and we had Food and Wine covering the business, and it was another spike. And it was like the best roller coaster you could ever imagine being on.
Also important is Graza's presence on social media and on influencers' accounts.
We do send product for free to people that have worked to garner an audience. Some people might get upset by that, but it's like, wouldn't you do that if you had a business? You got someone with 1 million followers, you're not gonna give them a $35 bottle of olive oil for the outsized return on that investment for a young brand? So we do that. Do it proudly.
But he also says that Graza's growth is helped by its product's simplicity and moderate pricing. Sizzle retails for $16 on Graza's website, while Drizzle retails for $21.
Some people will buy Drizzle because they want to spend 20 bucks. Some people will only buy Sizzle because it's cheaper, and that's what they can afford. This model helped us address as many people as possible.
Graza also offers subscription plans where customers can receive recurring orders of both oils for 10% off. But Andrew admits selling mid-priced single varietal olive oil is expensive, particularly when it comes to sourcing and purchasing more product.
We're working with probably 150 different farms now, and very frequently we're buying 100% of their production. We're buying, 100,000 liters of olive oil from one farm, stamping that as its own lot, and then bottling, for example, 200,000 bottles of that. And that hasn't gotten easier over time. It's actually gotten harder as we've grown.
Graza has raised about $10 million in capital since it started, almost all of which has gone to purchasing inventory. Andrew says the pressure to maintain quality and meet customer demand has caused him to act rashly on at least one occasion. In April 2023, Andrew posted an apology after accusing another olive oil startup, Brightland, of copycat culture when that company introduced a squeeze bottle for its pizza oil.
Biggest failure was letting my emotions get the most of me. My emotions, when they're channeled in a positive way, can do a lot of good. But the second I let them manifest in a negative way, they'll do outsized harm. So I tread lightly now when I have thoughts that are rooted in frustration. And I tread lightly in what is the public domain as well, because once you put something out there, you definitely lose control.
But despite some stumbling blocks, Graza continues to grow, introducing a few new products to its line, like olive oil potato chips, and partnering with beverage company Ora Bora on a canned olive oil martini. In May 2024, the company launched its newest venture, recyclable olive oil refills for their squeeze bottles, sold in yet another unorthodox container, a beer can.
We thought of the beer can refill, which is a 1-to-1 refill for our Sizzle squeeze bottles, which are 750 milliliters, and then a regular tall boy for Drizzle, which is 500 milliliters. On our website, we sell them as a starter kit, which comes with 2 squeeze bottles, 2 refills, and a funnel that we worked with OXO to design and provide.
Despite these innovations, Andrew says that for now, Graza is going to focus on what it does best.
There's a lot of pride in simplicity. There's a lot of value in simplicity. There's a lot of focus and simplicity, something that we're benefiting from greatly right now. Graza is an olive oil company, and not just any olive oil company. We're incredible olive oil at scale now. Sustaining that is a challenge in and of itself. I had 300 business ideas before Graza, and I may think that I tried to start them, but I really didn't. This is the one that I thought to try to start.